I watched football all day today, right? I watched Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I watched Justin Fields and the Jets, Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, all the Joes. They had themselves a game. There were some games in the 4 o'clock window that, I enjoyed as well. But then Sunday night rolls around. And, the Ravens come out swinging. And the Ravens come out looking like they are world beaters. They look like they are supposed to be, contending for a championship this year. That's what the Ravens look like coming out. That's what they look like coming out, right? Just for just for them to have a complete collapse in the second half, right? So first half, offense was dominating, defense for the most part was dominating, right? Second half rolls around. Defense just has a complete collapse. Like we can't get any pressure all of a sudden, and they're just making plays left and right and center. It just did not make any sense to me. I took some notes during the game, right? I took some notes during the game. By the way, thank you guys for joining. If you're watching live, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. This is Quiet Storm Sports with your boy Sutton Def. Again, apologize for the first 2 minutes of the video. I was ranting very hard. Probably doing a lot of swearing. Probably better that I was muted for those first 2 minutes. Just consider that the intro. But I took some notes during this game. Ravens choked a lead of 15 with less than 6 minutes to go. How is that possible to choke a lead of 15 points with under 6 minutes? How is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. Turnovers. I have sat up here time and time and time and time again and told you guys the bewildering stat that whatever team wins the turnover battle wins the game 80% of the time. Going into the fourth quarter of that game tonight, it was 0-0 in turnovers. Nobody had turned the football over all night. But at the very end, Derrick Henry fumbles the football. I'm actually wearing his shirt right now, number 22, who played very well tonight. Derrick Henry fumbled the football, turned the football over, and guess who won the football game? It's almost like it's math. It's science. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's so simple. It really is. It's so simple. I really don't know how else to describe it. To be honest with you, I don't know how else to describe it. It's so simple. You do not turn the football over and you win the game. If you win the turnover battle, you win the game. I'll get into the defense. But I'm disappointed. I am so disappointed in the pass rush late in game, non-existent. Like where were these guys? This is something we've been talking about all off season long, guys, right? Like, yeah, we got guys who they get sacks in the most, the easiest of times, in the most opportune of times. Never when the going gets tough, never when the Ravens actually need one, never when the Ravens need to get off the field, never when they need to force a turnover. The guys don't show up. They don't show up. I felt like I was watching tonight. I felt like I was watching the 2016 Ravens, to be honest with you. I felt like I was watching a 2016 Ravens team who had built a first half lead and then watched it slowly but surely dwindle away in the second half. That's what I felt like I watched. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Same old Ravens, says Tamia Parker. Same old Ravens. Same old Ravens. I agree. This is why they should have traded for Micah. Our situational pass rush is terrible. It's absolutely fucking dog shit. Actually, it's dog shit. If I'm being completely honest with you, like if we're not like lying right now, like if we're being completely honest with you, it's dog shit. We cannot force a pressure, get a sack, a strip sack, force a turnover to save our lives when it comes down to it. Tonight's game was it was very indicative. Tonight's loss was very indicative of who the Ravens are identity-wise. Very, very indicative. I again, man. You lose the turnover battle, you will lose the game. It's just as simple as that. Uh Defense fell apart in the second half. D-Wiz says KVN is slow. 90 people watching live. Thank y'all so much for coming through. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe to our channel as well. Robert in the house says that's a lot of effing money. EDC just pissed away on that defense. God, this team knows how to fail in the best way possible. Unreal, but wait, it's the Ravens. Yeah, it's, again, I felt like I was watching mid-2010s Ravens. It was classic, a classic performance right there. An absolute, just classic second half collapse. Josh Allen and that offense was getting whatever the fuck they wanted to in that second half through the air. It did not matter. It didn't matter. But yeah, man, terrible game. Terrible game. Only thing they're good at is choking, says TY. I agree, bro. This shit's not looking good, guys. Ravens were supposed to win this one. They were supposed to win this one going away, if I'm being honest with you. Turn my lights up a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. You guys see me a little bit better. But look, Ravens were supposed to win this one going away. Let me go through some of my notes here because I took a lot of notes throughout this game. First half, Ravens came out and Malachi Starks misses an interception, early in the game. Could have really stole the momentum right away in Highmark Stadium. Could have negated that 7 points that the Bills scored on that first drive right there. And that came back to bite us, quite honestly. I was hoping it wouldn't, but that Malachi Starks drop on the first drive of the game from the Buffalo Bills, that hurt us. Came back to bite us. Ravens, I felt like, honestly, the play calling was a little bit too predictable. The Ravens came out on the very first two plays on offense. They came out and they ran the football with Derrick Henry. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Only if you're not playing a team who has to, not saying that they're going to, but they have to. The Buffalo Bills are undersized on defense as compared to the Baltimore Ravens. So they have to absolutely sell out, put as many guys in the box as possible to stop the run. So I would have loved to see more boots and things like that, more play action fakes, to really throw them off balance defensively. Now, what I will say is that Todd Monken did do that throughout the game, and I commend him for that. I really do. So I don't blame the offense for this loss. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, could they have, converted towards the end of the game and kept the offense on the field? Sure. Yes, they could have. But the fact of the matter, guys, is that the defense was they were hanging on by a thread. They had been figured out, honestly, by late in the first half. The defense had been figured out by late in the first half. And again, the rest was history. I took a bunch of notes. A couple of guys who I want to give some attaboys to. Travis Jones had himself a good game in the first half. Of course, Kyle Hamilton had himself a big game pretty much throughout. I would say he had some big plays throughout the game. Derrick Henry obviously had himself a really big game today. 2 touchdowns, about 200 yards. He was balling. You know, Mark Andrews, I think, only had like one catch. Much to my surprise, I thought he would have been doing a lot more in this game, but I guess not. Um, a couple of surprises for me. Teddy Buchanan got a lot more burn in this game than I thought he would. And he played pretty well. He played relatively well, especially in the first half where I saw him at least. Um, Mike Green, I saw in a couple of plays. Didn't really see too much from Mike Green. I'll have to go back and watch the tape again. One play I saw, he kind of got washed out of the play on a third down, and Josh Allen converted to Keon Coleman. Looked like Mike Green was kind of late to his second move on that rep. So nothing too impressive. Again, Malachi Starks, if he would have got that pick, I would have been over the moon, right? But he didn't. He didn't. And I don't know, man. This was just a super disappointing loss. We should not score 40 points and lose a game, says Abayomi. And I totally agree. This was an embarrassing loss. This is one of those losses where if you're a Ravens fan, you do not want to watch or listen to national sports media in the morning. You just don't. You just don't. Because all you're going to hear in the morning, all you're going to hear tomorrow morning on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on this network, that network, is a high mark miracle. That's all you're going to hear about at the expense of our Baltimore Ravens. Let me go through the box score on this one. I want to read through some stats. Ravens versus Bills. Ravens lose against the Bills 41-40. Absolutely embarrassing loss. Ravens are 0-1 for the second straight year. They start the season 0-1. Lamar Jackson was 14 for 19, 209 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry was 18 carries for 169 and 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers had 7 catches for 143 and 1 touchdown. So Zay Flowers had himself a really nice game. Derrick Henry had himself a really nice game. Lamar Jackson had himself a nice game as well. Very efficient game. And again, that just tells me the defense lost this one. They could not stop a nosebleed in that second half. They just could not. It was embarrassing, man. It was embarrassing. I go through some of my notes here from the second half, and it was just all just frustrating shit. It was. Nate Wiggins was getting picked on over and over and over again. I saw somebody tweet earlier today. It was a Bills fan who had tweeted like, "Oh, keys to victory to beat the Ravens. Like you got to pick on guys like Wiggins and Awuzie." And I saw a Ravens fan like kind of taunting that Bills fan for saying that. Like, "Oh, you're really gonna pick on Nate Wiggins?" And I was thinking like, yeah, that's probably your best bet. To be honest with you, is picking on a Nate Wiggins. That's your best bet. And it was tonight. Nate Wiggins, he did have a pass breakup towards the end of the game that honestly could have been called for a pass interference. He had half of his jersey in his hand. I can't remember who the receiver was at this very moment. It's kind of escaping me, but he had half of the receiver's jersey in his hand. So they could have called that if they wanted to, but they didn't. Other than that, Josh Allen was going at him, and he kind of got picked on down the stretch there. He kind of got picked on, something that he's going to have to learn from. This is something that we heard from Nate Wiggins out of training camp. Like we heard that like guys were kind of bagging on him, right? Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Jair Alexander got cooked twice in a row on back-to-back plays down the stretch in that game. It was terrible. Like we've talked so long over this summer about how good the secondary is supposed to be. Right? We talked for so long about how good the secondary was supposed to be. Yet in the second half tonight, those guys they couldn't cover anything. They couldn't cover anything. Like it was terrible. It was terrible. Optimus Prime 83 says the jet sweep was a horrible call and did not even bootleg with a pass to Andrews Are you talking about the Zay Flowers one where he didn't gain any yards? I think that might be the one you're talking about. I totally agree. I did not like that call at all, to be honest with you. I want to say it was the Ravens' seventh drive of the second half. Um, they tried to redeem Henry to seal the game on that one after he fumbled. He got 1 yard on first down. Then the play after that, Zay Flowers, he gets the sweep. It went nowhere. There comes 3rd and 9, and then D Hop is stopped short of the first down, and the Ravens punt it back to the Bills, and the Ravens never saw the ball again. That was the Ravens' last drive on offense. A Henry run, a Zay Flowers jet sweep, and then a pass to DeAndre Hopkins somewhere around the middle of the field, and he stopped short of the sticks. And the Bills, with all the momentum in the world, get the ball only down 2 points with a minute and a half left. I guess this really kind of shut up the whole, arguments of, oh, if Mark Andrews would have just caught that ball, right? Last season in the playoffs in the divisional round, if he would have just caught that ball, right? Then the Ravens really, they could have had a chance. They could have won. They would have won that game. But the Bills would have gotten the ball back with around the same amount of time that they had the ball back in this game. About a minute and a half, minute some change, right, guys? And what happened? The Bills marched right down the field, Pass rush, non-existent. I mean, Adafe Owe, I didn't hear his name called at all tonight. And I'll have to go back and watch the film to see if there was something that I was missing, but he didn't stand out at all. Kyle Van Noy, didn't hear his name. Okay? Wow. Flipper says, I prefer Harbs to be let go. I've been saying it for years, but he just got paid. Yeah. They just re-upped Harbaugh's contract. Ah, man. But when I tell you, guys, that this was literally a spitting image of a Harbaugh-led Ravens team choking a game away in the second half, if you've been a Ravens fan for, I'd say probably at least like a decade, like at least 10 years, you've seen that very game happen multiple times where it gets to a point, right? It gets to a point almost in the game where you kind of feel it as a Ravens fan, like, yeah, we're about to lose this game. Yeah, we're up, you know, one possession, two possessions with 8 to 10 minutes left in the game, but yeah, all the momentum is gone. And we're probably not going to get it back. Why? Because our defense can't force a turnover. And again, man, I thought our defense played well in the first half, but they just were not consistent. Like, you have to put together 4 quarters of football, and the Ravens did not do that tonight. That's all it boils down to. Funky. Funky agrees with me. He says, yeah, I expect it, unfortunately. Like, you can see it. You can feel it in your bones as a Ravens fan. You can feel it when it's coming. It's like, oh, okay. We were dominating this game, but now they have took full control, and there's no way we're going to get it back. That's what it felt like. Abayomi says it's also about situational coaching. We have Lamar and Henry. You go for it on fourth down. Our defense cannot stop a nosebleed, and you punt back to the opposing team. I can also agree with that. I agree with that. At the same time, though, there's a lot of money in this defense. There's a lot of money allocated to this defense. I'll be damned if I'm John Harbaugh, I'll be damned if I can't lean on my defense to bring a game home. Especially week 1 of the season, you're going to let an offense walk all over you, walk you down. Like, get out there and show some pride. We've talked about it. Again, we've talked about it all season long, Abayomi. We've talked about it all season long. Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson. Okay, let's talk corners. Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey. You know what I mean? All these guys. All these guys. Just got a new sub. Mike Evans just subscribed. Thank you for the sub, Mike. Appreciate you. But all these guys, we've been talking about it. I there's no reason. Travis Jones, Nnamdi Madubuike, who I thought had some pretty good spots in tonight's game. He had a pretty good game. All these guys we talk about so much. I'd be damned if I don't put any faith in my defense late in a game. Because if we can't do it in week 1, I promise you we cannot do it in the playoffs, and I promise you we will not do it in the Super Bowl. We're not going to do it in the Super Bowl. You have to have faith in your defense. You do. And I get maybe you want to be a little bit aggressive, put the ball in your best player's hands, Lamar Jackson, say, okay, it's 4th and I think it might have been like 4th and 2, 4th and 3, I want to say. Okay, maybe you do give it to Lamar Jackson, say, hey, look, win us the game here. Bro, win us the game. You know? But at the same time, though, I can't blame Harbaugh for taking the other decision and choosing to, trust his defense. I can't blame him for that. We're too talented on defense. We're too talented. I can't hear that excuse. Alfredo says we can't step off the gas. Agree with that. Let me see. Matt Rollins says, Bills fan here. Respect your team and Lamar. This was a crazy game, and I have a feeling there will be another one in January. I hope so. But here's the thing about that. And thank you for coming through, Matt. But here's the thing about that. Ravens fans, listen up. Guess what? As I crack my back. Now, the Ravens get to literally fight for their life to contend for the number 1 seed. And they have to hope and pray that somebody from the Bills' weak-ass schedule this season, because as you guys know, the Bills have easy sledding from here on out. Let me read off the Bills' schedule really quick. Let me read off the Bills' schedule after they just get a 41-40 victory at home. So glorious, right? So glorious. Isn't that great for them? So their next matchups goes as follows. They've got the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Bucks, the Texans, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Browns. Listen, you get the picture. That was our shot, Ravens fans. That was our opportunity. That was it. I don't want to say it's over because it's not. We could very well, like Matt says here, we could see the Bills in January. But when we talk about contending for that number 1 seed in the AFC and not having to go through Buffalo or Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl, right? And that's granted, knock on wood, if the Ravens even make it to the playoffs. If that was our chance. Because the Bills now hold the tiebreaker. And while the Ravens get to go ahead and face, a division opponent in the Browns next week, who didn't look terrible today against the Bengals. And then after that, you get the Lions. Then after that, we get the Chiefs. Then after that, we get Houston. Then after that, we get LA, the Rams. It's only going to get tougher. The Bills are a damn good team, but this schedule's not getting any easier. It's not getting any easier. And that's the issue. And that's why I say this was our chance. Because the Bills get smooth sailing. Again, they get a bunch of Jets, Dolphins, who look absolutely dog shit today. They get a bunch of those. They get a bunch of layups. There's a bunch of layups coming from the Bills. And they're riding high off of this win. Oh, trust me, they're riding high. They're riding high off of this. They're going to be cruising into their next. They're going to cruise through their next 3 opponents easily. They're going to start 4-0. The Bills are. They're going to start 4-0. Meanwhile, the Chiefs and the Ravens are sitting at 0-1. The Bills are currently the favorites right now, I would say, to meet the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And that might have been the case before the season even started, but it's definitely the case right now. Definitely the case right now. 100,000%. 100,000%. Let me see what you guys are saying in here. Taquan, what's going on, Taquan? Says defense almost giving up 30 points in one quarter is really pissing me off. Oh yeah, brother. Who you telling? Who you telling, man? This is crazy. It's over. You have to go upstate New York, Detroit, KC, Rams, Houston, Cleveland. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Whoa, we don't want the first seed. We want to fight for all the marbles. I don't know if you're being sarcastic there, brother, but I mean, I think so. Let me see. Probably the least competitive division in the AFC. We are going to hold Jim Hardball accountable. I'm tired. Season is over with. I wouldn't say season is over with. Ravens started out 0-2 last season. Need I remind you? This is very reminiscent of last season, if I'm being honest with you. Very reminiscent of last season. Like, the Ravens started the season dropping and again, the Ravens have set themselves up for failure next week. Because look back to last year, what happened, right? Look back to last year. The Ravens lose a heartbreaker to Kansas City on the road in week 1, primetime, season opener, Thursday Night Football. As we all remember, Isaiah Likely's big toe nail, actually, landed out of bounds, and the Ravens lost that game. You know, they had a chance to tie. They lost that game. And mind you, the season before that, the Ravens had lost the AFC Championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. So they lose the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs in 2023. They start 2024 by losing to the Chiefs week 1. And then 2024, they lose to the Bills in the divisional round. 2025, they start off week 1 against the Bills. They lose to the Bills. Very reminiscent of how last year started. Now, as big of an emotional dump as week 1 last year against the Chiefs was, we went into next week against the Las Vegas Raiders and also dropped that game. You know, kind of just expecting, okay, the Ravens will bounce back. Obviously, they'll beat the Raiders, right? Nope. Lost that game too. And guess who the Ravens play next week? The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, who are always going to play the Ravens tight, especially early in the season when there's still something to play for. Yeah, they're going to play the Ravens tight. Beat us last year. You know, that is a huge trap game that I'm looking at now. We're staring down 0-2. If you ask me, you had this game in the bag. Like, this game was such an emotion. There was such a swing that comes with losing this game against the Bills tonight. There's such a swing that comes with it for the Ravens, like, season trajectory, if you know what I mean. Like, we went from almost having a dominating win over the Bills on Sunday Night Football in week 1 on the road, right? And starting the season on a super high note, cruising through Cleveland at home next week, right? And then we're just kind of off to the races, right? Detroit, Kansas City. But now we have a huge emotional dump. We know we should have won that game. All the pain and suffering and anguish from the off season, all of that from the off season that has kind of been like festering in all of these players, these coaches' minds all season. You go out there and tonight, you just kind of reconfirm why all that pain was justified originally, why all that anguish was justified originally, why all that hurt was justified. You go out there and you just kind of reiterate who everybody thinks the Ravens are. Big time, big game chokers. You reconfirmed the narrative, the bias. So now everybody gets to wake up tomorrow and talk about the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. And even though Lamar Jackson didn't make any mistakes really in this game, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back through my notes and see if there were really any glaring mistakes, but I can't really remember any off the top of my head. But they're going to get to go back and say, oh, yeah, Lamar didn't get it done. That's what we get to hear all week, guys. All my Ravens fans out there, and I know not everybody listening right now is not a Ravens fan. And if you're not a Ravens fan and you're in here listening, shout out to you. You don't have to be here, but you are, and I appreciate that. My name is Sudden Death. This is the Purple Rain podcast. We appreciate you for coming through. But to all my Ravens fans out there that are listening, we get to hear this for the next week. That Lamar Jackson and the Ravens could not get it done again against one of the best teams in the league. Man. Let me see what you guys are saying in here. We got a lot of new faces in here. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. That would help us out a ton here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. As you guys see, all subscribers, all members who join, you will get automatically shouted out on the live stream here. We appreciate you guys for doing that. Rochelle Davis says, I feel for Lamar. He is going to take all the blame. Yep, he's going to take the blame. That's what's going to happen. 100%. 100%. That's just how it goes. It's got to fall on the quarterback. Lockport Dude says, Baltimore fans act like they're not going to win the division and run it back in January. SMH. We don't know that, Lockport. We don't know that. We don't know that. Yes, we can assume. We can sit here and assume that the Ravens will be very, very good for the remainder of the season. They'll bounce back from this, right? Easy to assume that, right? But again, I think that tonight's loss and the way that the Ravens lost this game against the Bills goes to show that they can lose on any given Sunday against any given team. And guess what? Again, Lockport, the Ravens do not have a cupcake schedule. They do not. It doesn't even get easier until the second half, the back half of the schedule. And who knows what the landscape of the NFL will look like by then. But as of right now, we got 6 hard-ass games coming up, then a bye week. And then after that, who knows what it's going to look like. So it's not a given. It's not a given. Again, when the Steelers look how they look today, the Steelers look good today. I liked how they look. I liked how Aaron Rodgers was out there, they were not afraid to kind of let him loose and let him kind of do his thing. It kind of seems like Mike Tomlin is letting him, kind of take the reins over the offense a little bit, right? And he's slinging the ball all over the place, and they got a W late in the game. Defense ended the game for them. Jalen Ramsey. Why can that not happen for the Ravens? There were multiple opportunities tonight for the Ravens to seal the game defensively, but they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. The Ravens' 6th drive of the second half. I thought that Todd Monken came out and called a very good play. Lamar Jackson had a read option where he pulled the ball out of Derrick Henry's belly. He runs for a first down. The very next play was when Henry fumbled. Ed Oliver stripped him. And again, man, like I can't put too much of this. That's the thing about Ravens losses. There's just always so much blame to go around that you can never really pinpoint it on one specific player, coach, or entity in general. You just can't. Like I could say like, oh, Derrick Henry, like if you don't fumble that ball, then, we're golden. Like we win that game, which may be true, maybe not. Right? But again, at the same time, the turnover battle. The Ravens lost another turnover battle, so they lost another game. So it's like, while I don't want to put this on Derrick Henry like that, brother, you saw what happened. You saw what happened last year in the divisional round when Mark Andrews dropped that pass late for the 2-point conversion. You saw what happened when he fumbled. You saw what happened when Lamar fumbled. You saw what happened the year before that when Zay Flowers fumbled. How many times is this team, the Ravens, going to fold in the biggest moments in the biggest games? How many times? And how many times are the leaders and the captains of this team, so the best players, meaning your running back one, Derrick Henry, your tight end one, Mark Andrews, your wide receiver one, Zay Flowers. How many times are the leaders on this team gonna be the ones to kind of squander the game? You know what I mean? I'll leave you with that. Let me see what else you guys are saying in here. King Trent TV says, man, we had the Bills on the ropes and choked the lead like that. Yeah, man, it was embarrassing. Embarrassing. Chase says, ball don't lie, Josh MVP. Josh played like an MVP. He did. He played like an MVP, especially in that second half, man. I gotta tip my cap to him. They were getting whatever they wanted to. Whatever they wanted to. There was no pressure. There was no resistance. Josh was just back there doing what he wanted to do. The secondary couldn't cover. There's gonna be some soul searching. There's gonna be some soul searching after this game. I think if you're Zach Orr, there was one thing that really pissed me off about Zach Orr late in this game. Let me see. Yeah, so on the Bills' final drive of the game, that was the drive that Jair Alexander got cooked 2 plays in a row, gave up 2 catches back to back, right? And then Zach Orr calls a very obvious blitz. Like, we're talking like Kyle Hamilton is literally lined up at edge rusher before the play. And so if that isn't the easiest read for the MVP of the league in Josh Allen to just automatically know, okay, Kyle Hamilton, the league's best safety, is going to be rushing me on this play. And they've got at least 7 guys, 8 guys maybe up at the line of scrimmage. I know exactly where the void is going to be, and I'm going to throw it there. And it's going to be an easy pitch and catch. We're going to be in field goal range, and the game's going to be over. And that's exactly what happened. I do not understand why Zach Orr would sell out like that at the very last moment. Who greenlit that decision? Who greenlit that decision? I mean, obviously Zach Orr, but John Harbaugh. Like, did you really think that through to call a blitz in that moment? When, of course, yes, your pressure was struggling to get home. They were struggling to get home. I understand that. But at this point in the game, Josh Allen was dealing. He was getting the football out of his hands regardless. He was not going to take a sack. He was not going to let the pressure get to him. He was going to get that ball off. And it was going to be one-on-one coverage. Man. I'm running out of breath, man. Tonight, Josh Allen was picking our defense apart. Absolutely. 100%. They don't make any adjustments, just continue to get cooked. And we spend all that money on the defense for them to play like that. Jair is not that guy anymore. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Let me look through my notes a little bit more, see if there's anything else. Oh, guess what? Ravens lost this game by 1 point. Ravens lost this game by 1 point, guys. Guess who missed an extra point? Guess who missed the extra point? So, again, yes. And you guys know who I'm talking about. Tyler Loop. He missed an extra point after a touchdown, which in hindsight would have not allowed the Bills to win with a walk-off field goal from Matt Prater. And I don't wanna crap on Tyler Loop because he actually did have a really good game for his rookie debut. He hit like a 52-yarder, he hit a 49-yarder, hit a couple of PATs, but he missed one down the stretch that, hey, let's call it how it is, right? Let's call it how it is. It left the door open. It left the door open for the Bills to steal this one. And guess what? They walk right through that door and they stole it. So it's bigger than Loop. Coaching is trash too, for sure. For sure. I'm just saying, like, and that's why I was saying earlier, guys, like, you cannot. It's so hard to pinpoint it on one specific player or position group or coaching staff. You can't, because I could say, oh, Tyler Loop again. Like I'm saying, I could say Tyler Loop. He missed that PAT, right? I could say, oh, pass rush wasn't getting any pressure. I could say, oh, Zach Orr, he called the wrong plays down the stretch. I could say, oh, John Harbaugh wasn't aggressive enough on fourth down and keeping his offense on the field and letting Lamar Jackson kind of go out there and win it for him. I could say this, I could say that. I could say Derrick Henry fumbled the football. I could say Zay Flowers didn't fight through contact enough to try to really get the extra yardage. I could say anything. And that's what makes being a Ravens fan so frustrating right there. Because it's never just one thing that you can point to and say, like, oh, that's the reason why the Ravens got their ass kicked tonight. It's never just one thing. It's never just one reason why the Ravens lose. It's always a multitude of things that kind of build up. Ah, it's the issue. Let me see. TY in the chat says Cleveland should have the ultimate confidence watching this piss poor performance. Agreed, bro. Agreed. Agreed. And I think they will. I think they're going to have all the confidence in the world. Joe Flacco is going to be rolling into town like, this is my old stomping grounds. They're kind of deflated. Let's keep it a band. Let's keep it real. The Ravens are going to come out next week, 1 p.m. CBS against the Cleveland Browns at M&T Bank Stadium. They're going to come out deflated. Let's keep it real, bro. Let's keep it real. They're going to be deflated. Is what it is. Is what it is. It's a trap game. It's definitely a trap game. Abiyomi says that's the thing. Our defense is so bad that we have to play perfect or else we lose. And isn't that a shame that the defense is so damn bad? Like, after all of these offseason acquisitions, first 2 draft picks spent on defense, all this money going into the defense, and they can't close a game. If your defense cannot close a football game, what are they good for? I don't care if you dominate in the first half, right? It's not a game of 2 quarters. It's a game of 4 quarters, brother. It's a game of 4 quarters. So when our defensive line is getting pushed around late in games, that's not playoff football. That's not winning football. David says Myles Garrett is going to eat this O-line up next week. Absolutely. Myles Garrett had like 2 sacks back-to-back today against Joe Burrow and that Bengals offensive line. Almost 3. Pretty much like 2.5. I don't know how many of you guys were watching Red Zone, but yeah, Myles Garrett, he's going to have his way. He's going to have his way. Certain guys on the offensive line struggled tonight. Roger Rosengarten, I saw him struggle a couple of different times. Falele, I saw him struggle early in the game. Ed Oliver really, really got the better of him and killed an early drive for the Ravens. There's some growing pains, bro. There's some growing pains. And I don't want to say the Ravens are rusty because I feel like the Ravens came out and they had a very good showing tonight. Game plan wise, scheme wise, the things that worked very well. They worked very well. But again, down the stretch, when it really came down to kind of like a war of attrition, who really wants it more? The Bills just wanted it more. They wanted it more. And that's why I say, as a Ravens fan, you can kind of feel mentally, emotionally even, like you can kind of feel it. You can kind of gauge when the Ravens are out of gas, essentially. Right. And that's what it felt like tonight, going down the stretch of that fourth quarter. Like halfway through the fourth quarter, you could feel that, okay, yes, we're up right now, but we are clinging to life. We're up 15 with 6 minutes left, but we're clinging to life. No way the Bills should have won that game. No way the Bills should have won that game. But guess what? Here's another thing. Josh Allen just started a brand new case for back-to-back MVP. Didn't think about that yet, did you? And I know you don't care right now. Ravens are 0-1. Who cares about MVP? Yada, yada, yada. But I'm just saying it for when that time of year rolls around, they're going to look back at this game and say, okay, week 1 of the season, Josh Allen walked down the Ravens, walked down Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to beat them. So no matter how good Lamar Jackson performs this season, with the Bills and their cupcake schedule that they've got, by the time it's all said and done, they're going to say, well, Bills won 13 games, or maybe Ravens won 12 games like it was last year. Advantage Josh Allen. It doesn't matter if Lamar Jackson throws for 40, 50 touchdowns and less than 6 interceptions. Doesn't matter. Josh Allen beat him week 1. So that's the narrative. That's the narrative. Rochelle says you cannot blame the cold either. Nope. Can't blame it. Can't blame it. Rob Davis says if we don't make a move for a pass rusher, we're not beating the Bills or the Chiefs in the playoffs. I can dig that. I can dig that. I totally understand. I heard that the Ravens were in on Micah Parsons before he got traded to the Packers. That would have been awesome because, I mean, just right now, man, like I would love to see Mike Green develop into who we really want Mike Green to be. And I know it was only his first NFL regular season game tonight, so we can't really expect too much of him. But even the guys like this guy right here on my calendar for this month of September, non-existent. Milk carton. I saw somebody say it earlier. Milk carton. Odafe Owe, where were you? Missing in action. MIA. Non-factor. Non-factor. We need a pass rush, a late game pass rush, a legitimate one. TY says Lamar is perfect, we lose. Lamar turns the ball over, we lose. Yeah. Lamar was pretty much perfect tonight. Pretty much perfect tonight. Can't ask for much more out of your quarterback. But again, Ravens turn the football over in crucial moments. Like, do you understand? Like, late in the fourth quarter, Derrick Henry fumbling that football and flipping the field like that and giving the Bills automatic, scoring territory. Like that, it's devastating. It's devastating. And the fact that the Ravens could not force any turnovers again in this game, could not force a turnover. That was supposed to be a point of emphasis over this offseason for this defense. But in this game, could not force not a single turnover. This is rough, man. This is rough. I'll say that. This is really rough. Ravens start the season 0-1. They drop week 1 to the Buffalo Bills 41-40. Bills major comeback win. I'm sure they're celebrating in Buffalo right now. Up and down the streets. It just makes me sick, bro. It just makes me sick. It makes me sick. Absolutely sick. Nobody's afraid of that D line. Absolutely not. Ravens corners can't catch. Dexter says, yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying earlier in the game. Malachi Starks not getting that pick to start the game off. I think that kind of, I don't want to say it set the tone, but hey, the Bills scored a touchdown on that drive. This game, especially when you're playing against upper echelon, top tier teams, like it's a game of inches, bro. You have to have those plays. You have to have those plays. If you don't, you will lose. It's the difference between winning or losing. Like somebody said earlier, it's bigger than Tyler Loop missing that extra point. But is it? It's like if you execute the little things, again, it's a game of inches. An inch is a little thing. If you execute the little things, you will put yourself in the best position to win. Missing extra points, those are some of the things. If you do not execute, you put yourself at risk of losing a game against a really, really good team. Because the Ravens are a really good football team, but so are the Bills, right? So when you have two really good football teams, the whole, unstoppable force versus immovable object kind of analogy. When you have that kind of scenario, right, it comes down to a game of inches. It's very close. It's razor thin. You cannot fuck up. And that's exactly what the Ravens did tonight. Exactly what the Ravens did tonight. Wiggins, Jair, and 3 were getting cooked all night. It was bad for the secondary, bro. Ty says Starks gets a pass. It was a tipped pass by a receiver. I hold the vets to a way higher standard than a rookie. I also will always stick by and I'm talking to you guys here. I will also always stick by the notion that if the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. You got to catch it. Sorry, it just is what it is. Hit you in the hands, you got to catch that. Sorry. Giving Buffalo got a free field goal playing by inches in time. One's left before half. Yep. They scored one before the half. Do you think Zach Orr should go? No, I don't think Zach Orr should go. I mean, I just think that, again, down the stretch of that game, I feel like he knew that his pass rush was not getting any pressure at all. So he decided to throw Hamilton down there and rush him. But I thought that was a bad decision. That was a bad decision ultimately. Um, no, man. Like, keep contained on Josh Allen and make one of these other guys beat you down the field, right? Like, legitimately, right? Like, don't take Kyle Hamilton out of coverage, right? To get one on one, so a receiver can make one move and it's an easy pitch and catch for Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He is like a Patrick Mahomes in the sense that if you give him an inch, he's gonna take a mile. And I feel like Zach Orr gave him an inch at the most inopportune time. He gave him an inch and he said, "Hey, look, I'm gonna rush Kyle Hamilton at you. So what do, Josh Allen? Right? You throw either at Kyle Hamilton or you throw before Kyle Hamilton gets to you because there's gonna be a void somewhere. There's gonna be a void somewhere, and there totally was. Jair Alexander gets cooked after the one move, and it's just like, man, it's disappointing. Disappointing. Ty says Kyle has to be in the box because you can't get to the QB, but then your pass coverage is worse. Kyle cannot do both. And that's true. And that's true. But I would have rather taken my chances with Kyle in coverage. In that scenario, I would have rather taken my chances with Kyle in coverage because it seemed like, Josh Allen, for the life of him, was not going to take a negative play. Right? Like, I don't really imagine a world where Josh Allen just takes a sack in that moment. You know what I mean? So, like, I'd say let him throw. Let him throw the football, and have Kyle Hamilton lurking back there. And at the end of the day, one of those guys got to get home before, man. They got to get home up front. Like, it should not be on Kyle Hamilton late in games. Like you say, TY, he can't do both. It should not be Kyle Hamilton's responsibility late in the game, right, to rush the passer. I know we're paying him, a supreme amount of money. I get it. But it should not be a safety's responsibility to bring the game home, like on a defensive line front. You know what I mean? Like, somebody should be getting home. Somebody should be getting pressure on him. And it was just non-existent. It was just non-existent. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. Dexter says the cornerbacks need to play press coverage. And that's true. That's true too. But I mean, when the pass rushers cannot get any pressure, if you're not getting any pressure, that press coverage can go from looking really good to looking really bad, really fast. Like, because all it takes is a slant over the middle, a go, things like that. I get what you're saying here, Dexter, but I don't think that that's necessarily the end all be all here. I just think that guys need to get pressure. Like guys need to get pressure down the stretch. We've never been able to do it. It's a huge problem. Nobody's talking about it, but it's a huge problem for the Baltimore Ravens. They cannot get pressure with a 4-man rush, hell, even a 5-man rush, especially down the stretch of games. They just can't. And especially not against good teams. They just can't. They get stood up. And the quarterback just gets to do whatever they want. And it's all up to the secondary. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So David says the one time we played press, Wiggins got burned instantly. Yeah, man. And these guys, some of these top quarterbacks in the league, they're gonna make you pay every single time, brother. They're gonna make you pay every time. Every time. And on top of that, Daniel is just as bad. It's just bad. He is gonna get Lamar or Derek killed. Every team will put the best guy on him because he is simply trash. Sorry, but not sorry. No way he starts on our team. Daniel Faalele. Daniel Faalele had a very up and down game to me. Again, early in the game, I thought he let Ed Oliver just rip right through him. And again, Ed Oliver is a beast. He's really good. But he just ripped right through Daniel Faalele to really kill one of the Ravens' early drives in that game, which really pissed me off. But after that, I did see Faalele pick things up a bit. I will admit that. I think it was the Lamar Jackson touchdown run on the very next drive where he had a really good block that kind of sprung Lamar free. I got to go back. This is my instant reaction to the game, so I got to go back and watch. But man, uh, just a terrible loss, man. Terrible loss for the Ravens. Ravens lose 41-40 week 1. They start off 0-1. After being up 15 points with 6 minutes to go, they totally choked the game away. Pass rush couldn't get any pressure. John Harbaugh stopped being aggressive, right? Just kind of capitulated the game in a way, right? And I know I was saying earlier, like you should want to trust your defense. You should be able to trust your defense late in the game, down the stretch. Like, hey, like defense, bring us home here. Yes, it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 or whatever it may have been, and we have Lamar Jackson, but defense, step up. Like this is your opportunity, and they just couldn't. So it's kind of like a double-sided coin there. It's like what do you do? Do you put your faith into your defense who you've spent so much cap space and draft capital on, especially even this offseason? Or do you put it into your $260 million quarterback's hands and say, hey, look, it's 4th and 3. We need you to make a play. Or 4th and 2, we need you to make a play. Because DeAndre Hopkins got stopped. I want to say it was like 2 yards short of that first down. And if the Ravens would have gotten that first down, they'd been in really, really, really good shape to go ahead and win in that game. But again, I can't blame Harbaugh either way. I can't blame him for putting faith in the defense's hands, because again, man, a lot was expected of this defense. A lot more to me. I mean, they gave up like 30 points in one half. Like it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here for the night. It's getting late over here, and I want to get some sleep. I'll be back in the morning. Still 100 people watching live here, but GG's to Bills fans, Ravens fans. Hold your head up. It's not over. The season's not over. This does suck. Starting off 0-1, and the narratives will be very, very nasty tomorrow in the morning. Yeah. Close your ears, because it's going to be very, very nasty narratives in the morning coming from national sports media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you subscribe to, whatever social media platforms you listen to or you follow. Yeah, it's going to be bad. But I'm here to tell you that it's not all doom and gloom. It's not over yet. The Ravens can bounce back. They did lose their first game last year in 2024 against the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost their second game even as well. And then, they kind of went on a run after that, a little bit of a run after that. So It's not over, but this absolutely does suck. We do know again that this Ravens team, we're waiting for what happens in January. I mean, had the Ravens won this game, the narrative would have been okay, great. The Ravens dominated the Bills, but will they be able to do it in the playoffs? Right. So the fact that the Ravens lost this game, that narrative won't be around, but there will be the narrative around that, oh, the Ravens can't beat the Bills. So the Ravens are gonna have to live with that. Luckily, they do have some worthy opponents coming up on the schedule that they can kind of redeem themselves with. So hopefully they win those. But it starts next week in Baltimore, season home opener against the Cleveland Browns. They got to win that one. I think it's a trap game, to be honest with you. Divisional opponent who's coming off of a tough loss. We're coming off of a very deflating and it might feel like a hangover after this one because it was a huge emotional dump after everything that happened in the playoffs last season. You know how we lost to the Bills in that fashion, and then losing to them in this fashion. I think it just kind of calluses the Ravens even more, and just I don't know. It's just kind of like a big emotional energy dump. So I think the next week could be a trap, but hopefully the Ravens come out swinging and they run away with that game literally. And yeah, but that's gonna be it from me. I'll be back tomorrow with Quiet Storm Sports, talking to you guys, kind of giving you guys my takes on the game after I've slept on it for a little while. I know I started this episode muted for 2 minutes because I was just so mad I didn't even realize my mic was muted. That was kind of funny, but not really. But thank you guys for sticking around and popping out and supporting the channel again, guys. My name is Sutton Def. This is the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, and you are watching Quiet Storm Sports. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget to call God. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.